Hey everybody, it's Casual Boops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to cover arguably the most overpowered tank in the game. It is the Object 279E. It is the reward for completing all of the personal campaign missions in the second set. Right, the first set is a Stug 4 and then a T28 HTC piece of trash, the T55A and then a 260, and then the second set is the I think it's the Excalibur, which is a fun little thing, and then the Chimera, which is also fun to play, and then you get the 279E if you devote that much time and energy of your life to this game. And I will say, yeah, it's a very good tank. And okay, so we'll just jump right into the stats. Basically, there's a lot about this tank that is good, but none of it, I mean, I don't know, we'll just go over it real quick. So the alpha is fine, the DPM is fine, penetration's fine. It gets the standard Russian 320 or 340 millimeters of heat pen, which is good. Aim time is okay, dispersion's okay. These things are all fine, right? The turret traverse dispersion is okay. This 0.35 is okay, but it's not like these stats by themselves wouldn't make you think that this tank is stupidly broken, but it is. And I'll continue, right? Top speed of 40 is okay. There are tanks that are slower than this. There are tanks that are faster than this. This is fine. Power to weight of 14, it's not the most mobile tank in the world. Depression of 5 is kind of, I wouldn't say debilitating, but it really limits where you can go and what you can do. Health of 2400 is fine for a super heavy at tier 10. There are lots of tanks that are better than that, and then a view range of 400 is pretty okay, actually. Unfortunately, with the 4-man crew, commander being the radio operator, I think that this shares a crew layout with other USSR heavy tanks at tier 10, so you can get the same crew layout. So in that case, maybe your crew is fairly well trained, and so you can still get the view range perks on the commander and the other important stuff, and then the situational awareness on the radio op, because it's all, so it really would take 4 or 5 perks to get all the good stuff and get the radio range, get the view range boosted up as good as it can be. But it doesn't matter. You don't play the 279E for view range. The fire chance is an issue, I will say. You do start on fire in this thing quite a bit. Also, the ammo rack health, I don't know if this is the same. Let me just check. I can't tell if that's something that's better, worse, or the same than other tanks at tier 10. I don't know. What about the super conk? Ammo rack health 260, and the 279E is 210. Okay, the reason I bring this up is one of the things that I find that happens to me in my 279E quite a bit is that you get ammo racked constantly. You get a damaged ammo rack all the time, and it's very, very common to have the thing explode via ammo rack explosion a lot. Happens a lot. Happens so often, in fact, that equipment-wise, I'm not going to say that this is the choice. There's probably someone out there who's going to argue with me about whether this is the right choice or not, but what I like to do is this. And then I throw on, you get the Brothers in Arms and yada yada yada, and then you get the large first aid kit and so on and so forth. And what this does for you is it makes it so that you get more hit points and you get a substantially more ammo rack health. So you hardly ever get ammo racked. Your track health is substantially higher, so it takes 2 or 3 shots to track you, which is terrifying for the enemy when you're pushing forward. You 2 or 3 times and they still aren't stopping. It's crazy. And then also, because of the bonuses that these provide, and the large first aid kit or large repair kit, and you're going to have repairs on the crew, Brothers in Arms. You might even run mine with the directive, the orderly ammo, or not, the repair directive. So basically, what happens is after I finally do get tracked, I repair in 3 seconds. So you don't really even need to use the repair kit on the tracks ever. It's awesome. It's it's a good time. So I'm not saying that this is the way, but I run it like this, and it's a lot more comfortable, right? I don't spend half the game ammo racked like I otherwise would before. I will say that the soft stats aren't that great, so I can definitely see why people would want to use a vertical stabilizer instead of some of this stuff. But anyways, this is what I run, and I like it. So give it a shot if you have one of these things. It's hilarious. Anyways, armor-wise, we are going to get into why this tank is stupid. So here it is. This is terrifying, isn't it? This is terrifying. So what you basically have here is it's cheese on the side, and the top of this thing is absolute paper. So it already, you know, when I don't play mine in random games because artillery knows that this is a problem, and I always get clicked on. And when you do get clicked on, the top of this thing is just overmatchable all day. So you just, anytime an artillery hits you in the top of the tank, you just get full penned and you stop having fun. So I don't play mine, but when you do play this tank correctly, what you need to do, or what you'll probably see if you're the enemy, is you need to front toward enemy, right? So if there's a side scrapey thing, if there's like a building you can side scrape off of or whatever, you don't want to actually, like, what you would do is you would keep the building like this, and yeah, like this. And that's pretty good, right? You have a little cupola, so that's your one saving grace, and I shoot these things in the cupola quite a bit. If you're just on flat ground, this is what you do. Or again, you could just front toward enemy, and you'll be good. You'll be good like that. Like I said, it has a cupola on either side, but generally, what you want to do in these things is find a rock or something. It can't be like a hill, because this thing only has 5 degrees of gun depression. But if you can find a way to, like, get yourself on a hill and just use a little bit of gun depression, then, oh dear God, there's just no way. Even people shooting heat, like, you can get the little beak here, but that's a really hard target to hit. So basically, if they're using a little bit of gun depression and using this angle that this front hull is at, you just are done, right? And there's a reason that this tank is used in Clan Wars, because you can set up in certain positions where this is all they see, and then it's just over. You're just done. There's nothing you can do about this. You can't pen this. I mean, you go around, I guess, but then, you know, if you're in a setup like mine where they try to track you and you just turn 3 seconds later, it's pretty hard to go around. So basically what I would say, if you're in like a tier 8 tank, do not engage. Just go somewhere else, do something else. Or, you know, if you're seeing down at it, right? If you're above one of these things, then this angled part flattens out, and that's where you cheese, right? Even in standard rounds and so on, like even in some other random tier 10, like you try to hit the flattest part of the armor that you can, right? Even if you're at level ground or whatever, I try to hit like right here. Or if there's ever a part where they're like juking back and forth, or they flatten out their armor a little bit or something like that, you just hit the flattest part that you can. If they do one of these, you hit this flat part. You just try to negate the angling that makes this thing overpowered. And again, if you're a tier 8, good luck. And that's honestly one of the reasons I think this tank is the most broken tank in the game, is because there are certain things that there's just nothing you can do. Like, I guess technically it has a cupola, but these are tiny. Like, this is a problem. So, but at the same time, if somebody has like an E3, for instance, a T110 E3, those things have notoriously excellent. Oh, actually, you know what? The one thing that's good about the Chinese tank destroyers, the only thing that's good, is their stupidly good heat penetration. 395 heat penetration. Even, I mean, unless you're full on using lots of gun depression, right? Like this. Even then, it's got such high pen, and it's heat round, so it doesn't care about the angle, that you will go through. So I don't like to play mine because the armor like works sometimes and you're a god, and then sometimes somebody just has the gun to punch through or whatever. It's very annoying. You can almost hit right next to the gun where it's flatter. But if you don't have a high pen heat round and you're not able to flatten out the armor some way by looking at it in a certain way, good luck, because this is silly. And tier 8s run and hide. Good luck. So anyway, so that's the stats and the armor, and we'll get right into the game. Alright, so we're going to be following Supernova, playing his 279E on Siegfried Line in a game with no artillery and a bunch of tier 8s in the game. So this is best case scenario for this tank, because there's tier 8s are kind of like food, and there's no artillery to balance you from across the map, so this should be interesting. I will note that Supernova does not have more than 2,400 hit points, so he must not be running the improved configuration. It's probably a vertical stabilizer, is what he's running. That would be my guess. But he is running the modified configuration, so he must also be tired of getting ammo racked. Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out what he's actually using. But he also is not running any premium rounds. That's one of the reasons I decided to run this, to showcase this game, is that, you know, anybody could take their 279E and spam heat all over the place and just own. But the fact that Supernova's not shooting any premium rounds in this entire game, to me, is kind of noteworthy, and it just, I don't know, it's a little more, I don't know, makes me feel a little bit like he earned this, right, as opposed to just cheesing things. So, putting a couple of good shots, looking down this lane that actually kind of cuts the entire map in half. And that T-34, he got shot once crossing, but then he made the mistake of like trying to back up and like aim the shot and hit again. Like that T-34 should have just taken his one hit, and then, you know, just accepted that and moved on, and you know, not sat there to get shot again. But anyways, he gave up 400 more hit points than he needed to, and you can see Zero is every time he shoots, he's going to angle his armor in such a way, look through here and try to get the cupola shot. Well, he's got the flatter cheek of an E75, but then as soon as he's done, he goes back and angles his armor toward the T-34 because he's expecting the T-34 to come around that corner at any second. So that's really what it is. In this game with this tank, you need to keep your front toward the enemy, and if you can, try to make sure that they are looking, that you're looking down at them. You're using gun depression, because that's going to maximize the effectiveness of that giant slab of armor that's angled all funny in the top of your tank. Zero goes ahead and throws a shot between the tracks, in the tracks there in the drive wheel, and luckily the T-34 is able to back up and get out of harm's way. This Pantera, credit to Supernova for not getting annoyed at this Pantera, but Pantera, we're sitting here brawling with an E75 and an E100 and a T-34, and this paper medium tank at Tier 8 decides to get in the way of a 279E and put himself in harm's way, and I don't know. Credit to Supernova, because I don't know that I would have the patience to just sit there and let him do that, but he did, so. Anyways, we're going to aim at the cupola shot. Oof! Alright. So, Supernova gets the cupola shot on the E75 somehow, I don't understand, and then also gets a good shot at the side of the E100 turret. E100s have, ever since the buff, have got pretty solid armor, especially against standard rounds, but only when they're well angled. So he's going for the rangefinder at the top of the E100 turret, but you can see that E100 had angled his turret too far to the right, and that's why Supernova had a good shot, and he's looking now for the cupola again on the E100. And E100s are actually kind of a problem for a 279E because they're very tall and they have good heat rounds. So what that means is that it's not very uncommon for an E100, just because of how tall the tank is, to be able to look down if it, you know, on a 279E, even if they're on equal footing, just because, like I said, it's just such a tall tank. Then you can use that heat to cheese the front armor of the 279E if you shoot it at the lowest part that you can. So Zero, I think he was trying to hit the lower plate, but must have just tracked him instead. And I'm going to Progetto, one of the new Italian heavy tanks. It's got a clip, and so we knew it was going to sit there for a little bit. And so Zero manages to put a shot through the fountain. That was risky. That fountain always seems to block my shots whenever I shoot through it. But Zero got, I would say, got lucky. Gets the tiny little cupola, or I'm sorry, the tiny little lower plate shot on the E100. And gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about, right? Looking for weak spots, tiny little things. There it is, rangefinder, right? Zero is, I'm sorry, I keep saying Zero. Supernova is just picking this guy, everybody to pieces, right? Cupolas, lower plates. You think you're safe? You think you're hiding it? Oh, I can see a tiny little sliver of it, so I'm gonna slam a shot at. This is quintessential World of Tanks at the highest level, right? When I recorded this replay and just watched it for the first time, that was the thing I was most impressed by, was the fact that, like I said, Zero's not shooting heat, he's not just cheesing armor, he's aiming for weak spots. Every single one of these shots has been, the enemy makes a mistake, and Supernova is able to put all kinds of shots into the weak spots because he aims, using just standard rounds. So, here's a Hawk 30 being caught out of position. And based on the gun handling, I'm assuming that Supernova is actually running a vertical stabilizer, because yeah, my gun handling is not quite that good. So that's my guess. And Supernova, if you see this, let me know maybe in the comments if you are using, what your equipment is specifically, because I'd be interested to know. And the Chieftain, I did a video on this one. The turret of the Chieftain is excellent, except for when they hold very still like that and give you a clean shot at their cupola. And so that was very kind of that Chieftain. And let's see if he does it again. Success! Yeah, see, chieftains are easy, guys. Just hit him in the cupola and it's totally fine. But you can see right now we're down by 5 tanks. And Supernova has just been farming damage right now. He's got about 5,500 damage and 2 kills. But we're still down 5 tanks. He's got a couple of tank destroyers in the back of the map that are helping him out. And but this is definitely far from one. So Supernova is able to use the hull down tanks to angle his armor and even more consistently. And this Progetto is closing the distance. So Supernova was thinking about getting a shot in there, but I think correctly decides to actually back up and just get... He's in a little bit of a crossfire here with this Charioteer, and the Progetto has pretty good mobility, so it could get around him. So Supernova is going to try to not let that happen. And he blocks the Progetto from going behind him, and then all of a sudden he uses the a little bit of this rock here to make sure that he can't be shot, because that's just enough of an angle. All you need is a little bit of an angle on your armor, and then you are basically immune. And so he puts that little bit of an angle between him and the Progetto and saves himself from getting totally clipped out. And so this is what I'm talking about. Like, that little maneuver right there, the backing up and not letting the Progetto get around him, and then also getting a little bit of an angle so that the Progetto couldn't clip him out. Those are key. Those were the moments that probably saved his game here. And oh, we almost cleaned up. Oh my gosh, do we get a shot? Okay, doesn't even get shot by the T-32. Although now I think he's ready for the shot, so he wants to bait it in. T-32, and I think that Progetto probably deserved a pen that round, but anyways, must have hit the top part, the top angly bit of the rounded kind of frying pan shaped hull, or frying pan shaped. Oh, what a cheeky shot between the dead tanks. There, between the turret and the hull of that dead tank, is where we just landed that shot. But anyways, the frying pan shaped turret has all kinds of weird, funny angles. You gotta hit everything about this tank. You just have to hit it in its flattest spot possible. So, a lot of our help is dead right now, so all we have left is a Sturv, Tier 9 STRV, against 5 tanks in the enemy team. And so Zero correctly deduces that we're gonna have to get back to cap here pretty quick, because we don't know where things are, and our Sturv just got annihilated by the 704, which is interesting. Okay, so the 704 was last spotted over on the 9 line, and so we're pretty sure, like, just based on the firing lines, that that kind of tells you something about where that 704 actually is. And so Supernova is going to head this way and try to see if he can get an angle here and catch somebody out, like so. Still 4 tanks in the game. And somebody just pinging. Okay, so somebody just pinged. Look at that. So Supernova aimed the shot, and now he's angling his armor. He's looking down at the 704. So the 704 can't do anything about it, right? And so that's why now there's 2 people on the cap, which means Supernova can't really afford to sit there and monkey around with the 704. He has to drive toward the cap, and he needs to get there right now. He needs to get there now. And so he's trying his best to keep the hills between him and that Ravioli and him and the 704. He's just going to drive forward and spot the cap because he's only got about 10 seconds left. If he misses a shot, he might... Yeah, at this point, if he misses a shot, he loses the game. So, patience, wait. Okay, so that's a good reset. And again, because the angling of the armor, he was looking ever so slightly down. It's all about little undulations in the hillside. Supernova had a little bit of a hill between him and the other, and that SU-101 or SU-130 PM, and there's a Charioteer. I don't know what that Charioteer was still doing there, because to be honest, like once the 279E shows up that close, you know he's going to see you eventually. So if it were me, as soon as the first shot on that SU went out, I would have gotten out of the way and run behind that building and tried to stay there just to make sure that Supernova gets, whenever he's turned the other direction, you could have a crossfire, right? But, oh well, what do you do? So far, Supernova's at 10,000 damage, and again, because he's using little undulations in the hillside, he's looking down a little bit. He's only got 5 degrees of gun depression, so this is how you get, like, he's able to use just a little bit at a time, and like, you don't need a giant hill, you just need a little bit. Okay, Ravioli, you got this. You just need a little bit of a hill to angle that armor even more, and then you become basically invulnerable, especially against tiers 8 and 9. And this Ravioli, I don't know, there's just nothing nothing you really can do at this point. And Supernova, like I said, he's running the modified configuration. I think partially probably because of the ammo rack durability, but then also because it's just so easy to track these things that being able to untrack yourself is really important. So, what a game! All right, so at the end of the game, Supernova ended up picking up 11,300 damage and 8 kills, 5,700 damage blocked. That's the ace tanker, of course. And then just a whole grip of medals. We got I think that's the cool-headed, you got a steel wall, you got a high caliber, what is that, the top gun, the one for base resets. He reset the base a whole bunch of times. You got the Radley Walters and a Calabanos, right? Because it was him against 5 enemies, and he cleaned it all up on most of his hit points to spare, too. And that ended up getting Supernova 1,690 base XP, which is incredible, especially given the fact that there are tier 8s in this game, and you don't get as much XP for shooting tier 8s when you're in a tier 10. So getting this much XP in a tier 10 against tier 8s means that, obviously you can see on the team list here, he did some work. Supernova put some work in. Yeah, and then Supernova ended up picking up a profit of 119,000 credits, which, you know, he had a personal reserve going, so even without that, it would have been, something along the order of 60,000 credits. Even after resupplying the consumables, must have had some large first aid kits or something like that, and large first aid, or he had food and probably some other thing. But you can see, shooting just standard rounds and penning your shots means that it's actually very possible to make a profit at tier 10, I suppose, if you play at that level of your game anyways. So yeah, anyways, that's the replay, and congratulations to Supernova. Thanks for sending in the replay. And guys, if this is any incentive to work on those 279E missions, get yourself one of these things, and you too can experience the joy of being completely impenetrable to tier 8s. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. All right.